Welcome to the Wisconsin Sports Report. This is going to be a new video, probably weekly on this channel, about Wisconsin sports, both or everything Packers, Badgers, Brewers, and Badger football and basketball when it's that time of year. First, we've got the big news in the state of Wisconsin for Wisconsin sports. The new Bucks head coach, after interviewing 12 or dozens of candidates, seemed like if you ever thought about coaching basketball in your life, you got an interview for the Bucks head coaching job. They finally nailed down the list of 3 candidates: Nick Nurse, Kenny Atkinson, and Adrian Griffin. Adrian Griffin ended up getting the job. This was after having meetings where all the candidates met with Giannis, Chris, and ownership, along with John Horst, who was doing the main hiring. Griffin played 10-ish years in the NBA, mostly as a role player, and then he was an assistant for 15 years before getting the Bucks job. He started as an assistant in Milwaukee under Scott Skiles for a couple years in 2008, and then after that he had 5 years with Chicago and Tom Thibodeau, where Jimmy Butler credited him with Jimmy Butler's player development at that time. So that's kind of an idea. And then after short stints with the Magic and Thunder, he was in Toronto for 5 years, starting in 2018, winning an NBA title where they beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 2019 with Kawhi Leonard. My thoughts: it kind of worries me. He's never been a head coach before, and when you have a team that has all the pieces to be really good and make a deep run, if you're gonna fire a coach like Mike Budenholzer, you have to make sure you have a coach that is gonna be better than Mike Budenholzer. So not knowing what you're really gonna get at with him never being a head coach before can be a little scary, a little nerve-wracking. Like, you don't know what you're going to get from him. And other thoughts and reports: he was Giannis's guy through the interview process. When the finalists were talking to Giannis, Griffin was the one that Giannis wanted. So to me, that's probably a pro. I mean, if it means it keeps Giannis around longer because his input's being valued and used, that's important, because Giannis is a superstar. He's someone that you want around with your team for a long time. He's also been in the league for a while, right? So he's had a lot of different thoughts and seen different styles of doing things, and has gone around, and I think has a good feeling of, hopefully knows how to adjust and change, and has a feeling of how to coach. I mean, he's been an assistant coach for 15 years. You just don't stick around as an assistant coach for that long for no reason. But Eric Name of The Athletic wrote a really good article. Eric wrote in his that Adrian knows what he has to like. He has to improve the offense, half-court offense. He has to try to get Giannis more easier looks and try to continue to. He has to take, like, Bud had it easy. He took Giannis from good and just made him great, right? Now Griffin has to make Giannis from great to another, like, outstanding, better than great. That's tough to do. It should be interesting to see if Adrian Griffin can make it easy for Giannis to score offensively, and see if he can get his numbers back up. And defensively, you don't know what you're going to get out of it, because Toronto's defense and their roster build was different than the Bucks' defense and roster build. They were totally different. The Bucks kind of tried to funnel players into mid-range shots. It wasn't a super pressure defense. Drew Holiday would fight over screens and then force guys into dropping Brook Lopez, while Toronto's, they would trap and meet guys at the level of screen and try to force turnovers and pressure, but they didn't have a 7-footer that wasn't that agile to play defense. So that's one of the things that should be interesting to see how things happen. It will be really fun to see how that goes, and progresses, and we'll just have to wait and see if he was the right choice. Like, you never know. We could have hired anyone. Could have hired Eric Spoelstra, and he's a good coach, but would he work in Milwaukee, or Steve Kerr, or any of the other coaches that you really like, Ty Lue? Like, you just don't know how they're going to mesh with certain guys and schemes, and how they're going to put the pieces together for a certain team. So we'll have to wait and see. Next is the Brewers. They had a rough week. They went 3-4. They first won a 3-game series against the Houston Astros, who are the reigning World Series champs. So they still have this style of going ahead, winning a bunch of games, or winning series that they're probably not supposed to win against teams that are better than them, and then losing series that you want them to win. But in game 1, they got killed 12-2. Not many notes from that game. There's nothing to talk about. You lost 12-2. It's tough. It is what it is. But they won game 2. We had 2 really good pitching performances in the last half of the series. We won game 2, 6-0. Colin Ray pitched 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Joey Wiemer hit a home run, and Owen Miller homered, who just continues his tear in the month of May. So they won 6-0. Joey Wiemer homered, and Owen Miller homered after a really good outing from Colin Ray, and then the Giants only got 5 hits in the game. In game 3, on a Wednesday afternoon game, Adrian Hauser pitched again 5 1/3 innings, shut him out. It was a team shutout again. 4-0. Adames hit a 2-run home run in the first after Christian Yelich hit a double, and then Owen Miller and Brian Anderson hit back-to-back home runs in the later innings of the game. Then, starting on Thursday, they had a 4-game series against the San Francisco Giants. They lost the series 3-1. In game 1, Julio Turan, who was literally signed that day, technically. Now there was reports of him getting signed earlier because of all the pitching injuries that the Brewers had. Pitched 5 innings and only had 1 earned run, and it was a really good outing. And before that 1 earned run, the guy who got the hit to score the run with 2 outs got away with strike 3 that was clearly a strike, and it just wasn't called a strike. So that was disappointing. Offense had a really bad day. And then after that 1 run in the later innings, it just got out of hand, got worse than what the score appeared to be. It was 0-0, 1-0 throughout most of the game. In game 2 on Friday, it was 15-0, but there's nothing to say on that part except for Willy Adames. This was the story of the game. Willy Adames sitting in the dugout. Brian Anderson hit a foul ball right into the dugout and hit Willy Adames in the head. He ended up getting looked at the stadium and then taken to the hospital for further evaluations, and he ended up no fractures and just on the 7-day concussion list. So hopefully that'll be a short stint for Willie, but concussions are nothing to mess around with, and you're just hoping for the best. You could tell the team was visibly shaken at that point, as Willie is such a leader for the team, and makes it fun for everyone. Like, you just can tell Willy Adames enjoys playing baseball and make sure his teammates enjoy playing baseball as well. So after losing someone like that to a pitch to the head where or hit a foul ball to the head, which you don't know what that can be of, or what could happen, it's not something that you want to mess around with, and it's a scary thing. So that was the big news of the day, of that game. In game 3 on Saturday, Peter Strzelecki, the Giants scored early, the Brewers tied it, and then Peter Strzelecki gave up a 2-run home run in the 8th, and then they ended up losing 3-1. So not a great start to the series, being down 3-0 to a team that isn't as good as you, or I mean, you think you should be better than and should be able to beat. But then in Game 4 today, on Sunday, they won 7-5 for an offense that scored 1 run in the first 3 games of the series, in the first 27 innings of the series. They ended up scoring 7 runs in the first 2 innings. William Contreras had 4 RBIs with a 2-run home run mixed in those 4 RBIs. Brian Anderson also had 2 RBIs. Owen Miller had 2 RBIs, but he also had to leave the game because he got hit, and they just took him out of the game for precautionary reasons. But it should be no issues. There was no bone contact apparently, according to Crick Council, and he's just day to day. Which is good, because with Willie Adames being out, Bryce Strang has to take over shortstop, so then that leaves a hole at second base. And if Luis Ruiz was available, then that's where he would go, because then Brian Anderson could play third base. But we are still trying to shuffle people around from injuries. And then Williams, the Giants slowly clawed back in the game. They ended up scoring 5 runs in the rest of the game, ended up clawing back and putting runners on in the 8th inning. Devin Williams got an out in the 8th inning to end the 8th, stranded some runners, and then came in and finished the 9th and got a 4-out save. So ended up getting 1, 3 and 4 on the week, so not good for a team that's in first place, that's supposed to be competing for the division. But because for some reason the NL Central is so bad, the Brewers are still a game and a half up on the Pirates. So that's not, I mean, it's still good news. We're not playing, the Brewers aren't playing well, but they're still a game and a half ahead of in first place. So that's good. And in Packer news, the Packers started OTAs this week. They started on Tuesday. There was some videos of Jordan Love throwing 1-on-0 to his teammates, and I mean, that was pretty much all you could see video-wise. There was some other notes about it. There was also an article on ESPN about how the Jordan Love, or the Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love transitions working, and how it's probably easier for the younger receivers to, it started off by saying how a bunch of the receivers last year, they asked them, they were nervous because they're getting thrown to by Aaron Rodgers, and this year they're not as nervous and they're not as afraid to make mistakes, because if you made one mistake with Aaron Rodgers, you're going to get yelled at and scolded, and then with Jordan Love, you're not going to, but it still may. I mean, but they also respect Jordan Love, but it's easier for them to get along, right? Because as a 22-year-old, it's going to be tough to get along with a 39-year-old. There's just too big of an age difference, too much of an age gap. So it was just kind of an article that was a no-brainer. Yeah, duh. Jordan Love gets along with his rookie receivers better than Aaron Rodgers got along with rookie receivers. Of course, we kind of already knew that. So that'll do it for this episode of the Wisconsin Sports Report. Please comment, subscribe. I'm trying something new on this channel. I'm hoping to expand and grow and continue to do this. I'll probably look to try to do this every Sunday and get this out Sunday night. So then if you're a late night person, you can watch it Sunday night. If you're not a late night person, you can watch it Monday morning. So please comment, subscribe. Have a great day.